because let's be serious, that one sounds really fucking cool. Sounds badass. Well, hello, welcome back to my channel. Jassad here to talk about some friggin' books that I'm excited for, or at least intrigued by. I feel like maybe it's a little early to be doing anticipated 2023 releases, but I started making my list and it's quite long already. So I wanted to break it up into, this first video is gonna be books that I'm intrigued by and I'm like, oh, my interest is piqued, but ultimately they might not be for me. These are ones that I'm very iffy on if I really think I will love them or not, but I'm intrigued, you know? Editing Jassad here to say that I ended up actually combining this video that I recorded with the next one, which is like my tier 2, my mid-level anticipated releases for 2023. The footage just wasn't long enough for either one, so I am meshing them together. So that is what this video will actually be. These are ones that are definitely not going to be pre-orders for me, but probably more like library requests, and yeah. There's a few on this list. I don't know how many. How many are there? There's 6 on this list for now. So yeah, I'm gonna do these videos, and then if I have more to add, I'll do another one, like additional final 2023 anticipated releases. Okay, the first one is The Daughters of Dejar by Hadir Elsbai. And this one is coming out January 10th. So this is an earlier one. And it seems to be political fantasy, young adult, and it is one of 2. It's going to be a duology from what I understand, and it is like inspired by Egyptian history and maybe mythology, written by an Egyptian American author. My little blurb I have here for this is 2 young women, Nihal, a spoiled aristocrat, used to getting what she wants, and Georgina, a poor bookshop worker, used to having nothing, who find they have far more in common, particularly in their struggle for the rights of women and their ability to fight for it with forbidden elemental magic. Sounds fun. The reason this one is on my like is because young adult, it's like the premise sounds really fun and cool, but I don't know if it's something that I particularly would love, but I'm intrigued enough and wanted to put it on your radar in case it sounds good to you. And some of these books, these covers also are just like stunning. I can't. Next one is Spice Road by Maya Ibrahim. This one's coming out January 24th, and it is categorized as epic fantasy, young adult again, and it looks like it's going to be a trilogy. This is book 1 of the 3. And we have a Middle Eastern Australian author, and it's an Arabian-inspired world. And the blurb I have for this is the first book in an epic fantasy series for fans of Sabah Tahir, Hafsa Faisal, and Elizabeth Lim, set in an Arabian-inspired land. Raised to protect her nation from the monsters lurking in the sands, 17-year-old Imani must fight to find her brother, whose betrayal is now their greatest threat. Sounds intense. And then this one is Womb City by, and I looked up the pronunciation for the author, Tlutlo Tsama Ase. I don't know if I am pronouncing it exactly how it's supposed to sound, but that is the pronunciation guide that the author gave, is Tlutlo Tsama Ase. And this one is coming out April 11th, and it's categorized as kind of like sci-fi horror fantasy, or like sci fantasy horror elements. And it is an adult target audience. I do not know if this is going to be a series or if this is a standalone. I couldn't find anything referencing it as being a series, so it might be a standalone. The influences and inspiration seem to be Botswana culture. The author is Motswana. And also like Afrofuturism elements, for sure, is what it sounds like. And the blurb is a feminist horror novel set in a futuristic Botswana where citizens' consciousness can be implanted into available microchipped bodies, in which a woman commits a desperate murder to save herself and her unborn child. She must prevent the victim's vengeful ghost from killing everyone she loves, even as she must outrun a watchful government that would sacrifice her to preserve the secrets she's unwittingly unearthed. Sounds intense, very intense. And the reason this one is like on the, I'm intrigued, but it might not be for me, is if you've been here for a minute, the horror elements and the sci-fi. I'm not a huge sci-fi reader, and I'm definitely not a horror reader, really, at all. So I don't know about this, but it sounds cool. And then we have Nigeria Jones by E.B. Zaboy. This one is coming out May 9th. This one is a contemporary sci-fi, from what it sounds like. And it does appear to be a standalone versus a series. And I guess this is from a character that's in a short story that E.B. Zaboy participated in. I don't know which one, I can't remember. But it says for the blurb, this is about the 16-year-old daughter of a radical separatist movement leader who inadvertently travels back through time to the west coast of Africa. Next, we have The Water Outlaws by S.L. Huang. This is scheduled to come out May 9th, and it is a wuxia fantasy. Wuxia? I don't know that I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it is an adult target audience. I do not know if this is going to be a series or if this is a standalone. Not real sure on that. And the inspiration for this, the influence, is a classic of martial arts literature called Water Margin. And it says, the Water Outlaws are bandits of devastating ruthlessness, unseemly femininity, dangerous philosophies, and ungovernable gender who are ready to make history or tear it apart. So, intrigued. And then we have The Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse, scheduled to come out August 1st. This is high fantasy, adult. This is the third book in the one trilogy that I put somewhere. Where did I friggin' put that? Oh, it's up over there. Black Sun and Fevered Star. This is on the list because of Fevered Star being very meh. So I'm just less excited. I'm hoping that it'll stick the landing, but I'm less excited. It's inspired by pre-Columbian Americas, and the kind of blurb for the series, the beginning of the series, is a tale of celestial prophecies, political intrigue, and forbidden magic. And then these three that I have are hopefuls. Probably aren't coming out next year because I haven't heard anything about them, but I don't know, maybe. The first one I put an LOL next to it because, let's be serious, Winds of Winter by George R. R. Martin. For release date, I put LOL, who knows? It's, A Song of Ice and Fire, book 6, that we've been waiting for eons at this point. So yeah, who knows? He claims to be working on it, but I think he's been claiming that for 10 years, so we'll see. And then this one, Master of Jinn #2 by P. Djeli Clark. This is historical steampunk fantasy, and I really loved the prequel novellas. Master of Jinn fell a little bit flat for me, but I liked it enough that I'm hopeful for the second book and as the series goes on. But I do not have any idea when book 2 is coming out. I would think next year, but I was scouring Twitter and Instagram and looking at P. Djeli Clark's posts and stuff and website, and I don't see anything confirming it. I could just have missed it, but... And then I put, just because looking at her Twitter, I saw it seems like she is working on at least one new book, if not 2 new books, but no word on when either of them are supposed to come out. Oh my God. I look like I'm crying, but I swear I just sneezed really aggressively. At any rate, the author is Jandy Nelson. So I put Jandy #3? No idea though. That's just very wishful thinking and crossing all my fingers and toes that, yeah, the murmurings of her working on a book, maybe one's coming out. I have no idea though. So yeah, there is the list. That's the kind of #3. I'm intrigued, but these might not be for me, or a couple of them, I don't even know if they're coming out. Some more 2023 anticipated releases. This is the kind of #2 slot in my hierarchy of anticipated releases. These ones I'm pretty damn intrigued by, but I don't know that I would be pre-ordering most of these. Some of them I might, but I don't know. I could, but they're kind of middle of the road where I'm they could be great, but maybe not. And I think I have 8 or so maybe. The first one is God Killer by Hannah Connor, coming out January 19th. This is just fantasy. geared at an adult audience. I have no idea if this is going to be a series or not. I could not find information on that, if it's a standalone or going to be a series. The author is Northumbrian slash like Scottish. It's part of Scotland, I believe, is my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure. The blurb for this is, Kissin kills gods for a living, and she enjoys it. That is until she finds a god she cannot kill. Skediseth?
Skadiseth. I'm not sure.
God of white lies, who is connected to a little noble girl on the run. Elogast fought in the God War and helped purge the city of 1,000 shrines before laying down his sword. A mysterious request from the king sends him racing back to the city he destroyed. On the way, he meets a god killer, a little girl, and a littler god, who cannot find out about his quest. Sounds pretty fun. And then these next two, I believe, are both novellas. Oh, no, just this one is a novella that I requested on NetGalley, and I just need to read it. And that is The Lies of the Ajugo by Moses Ose Utomi, coming out March 21st, epic fantasy. Target audience is adult, and it is a novella, like I said. A Nigerian-American author, and it is a West African-inspired world. The blurb I have is that this follows one boy's epic quest to bring water back to his city and save his mother's life. Prepare to enter the forever desert. And then this one I had on my 2022 anticipated releases, but it did not come out this year. But it now does have a release date set and a cover that is so pretty. Oh my God. The Surviving Sky by Kritika H. Rao. And I did look up the author's explanation of the pronunciation of their name. It says Kritika like Ithaca. So that is why I said it like that. I think last year I kept saying Kritika. And it's scheduled now to come out April 4th, and it is sci fantasy. Target audience is adult, and it's book number 1 of a series. I don't know if it's going to be a duology, a trilogy, quartet, or what. I have no idea. And the blurb for this one is, this Hindu philosophy-inspired debut science fantasy follows a husband and wife racing to save their living city and their troubled marriage, high above a jungle world besieged by cataclysmic storms. Sci fantasy, science fiction is generally not my jam, but like sci fantasy I can get with more, and this just sounds so cool. This is the other novella that I requested on NetGalley as well and have to review, but I have not read it yet. And that is Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee, coming out April 11th. And genre I put as epic fable fantasy, kind of, geared toward an adult audience. And like I said, it is a novella. And the little blurb explanation is just a standalone fantasy novella about the legendary rocks of myth and the elite trainers who fly them. And then we have Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb, scheduled to come out May 2nd. This is epic fantasy geared toward an adult audience, and this is book 1 of 3, star of a trilogy. The blurb for this one, long banished dragons, revered as gods, return to the mortal realm in the first in this magical new epic fantasy trilogy. Sounds badass. Then we have The Jassad Air by Sarah Hashem, coming out July 6th. This is political fantasy geared toward an adult audience. No idea if this is going to be a series. I would assume so, but I couldn't find any definitive information on that. An Egyptian-American author with an Egyptian-inspired world. And the blurb for this is, in a world of scorched kingdoms, forbidden magic, and cunning royals, a fugitive queen strikes a deadly bargain with her fallen kingdom's greatest enemy, and soon finds herself embroiled in a political game that could resurrect her scorched kingdom or leave it in ashes forever in this stunning debut epic fantasy. Can't talk. And then The Saint of Bright Doors by Vajra Chandra Sekera. To the best of what I could find, that is the pronunciation of that last name. And this one is scheduled to come out July 11th. Fantasy geared toward adult, and this I did see is specified to be a standalone. The author is Sri Lankan. The Saint of Bright Doors sets divine assassins against transcendent cults, devils and anti-gods against militias and mundane disappointments, resulting in a novel that is revelatory and resonant. Sure. Sign me up. This next one is one that Angela told me about from Literature Science Alliance. Thank you, Angela. The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero La Cruz, coming out July 25th. Historical fantasy, geared toward adult audience, number 1 of not sure how many, but it does appear to be a series. And the author is Venezuelan, and this one is influenced by South American culture. The blurb is set in a lush world inspired by the history and folklore of South America. Discover this sweeping epic fantasy of colonialism and country, ancient magic, and a young woman's quest for belonging. Young noblewoman's servant girl become vessels of ancient gods to save nation. That one sounds really fucking cool. Then we have The Dragon Rider by Taran Matharu, coming out September 28th. Epic fantasy, geared toward adult audience, number 1 of 3. It'll be a trilogy. And the blurb I have for this is a tale of dragons and the riders who bond with them, set against the brutal backdrop of an uprising against the Empire. Pretty succinct, kind of vague description, but I don't mind that. And then we have The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah, coming out November 14th. This is epic mythological fantasy, geared toward adult audience, number 2 of 3. This is the second book in the Sand Sea trilogy. The Stardust Thief was the first one. So I did like The Stardust Thief. I didn't love it, but it was cool. So I'm excited for this one. And the description for The Stardust Thief is inspired by stories from 1001 Nights. The Stardust Thief weaves the gripping tale of a legendary smuggler, a cowardly prince, and a dangerous quest across the desert to find a legendary magical lamp. Fun, fun. And that is all for this kind of second tier of anticipated releases for me. Let me know if any of these were already on your radar, or if they are now, if any of them sound super intriguing. Of course, you can leave a little emoji if you just want to say hi. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.